Hey friends, welcome back to another video. Today we are getting into equipment, how the new equipment forge works, and how to best go from a common to a legendary item, and you will be seeing that today, from common to legendary. I want to go over merging in the forge, and then go over what equipment is best for which decks, just like a vague overview, because you can't really get into specifics because of the way that everybody's equipment is leveled and their account level and a bunch of different factors. But we can talk about the overall which equipment is better for which deck vaguely. So we'll get into that. And then lastly, third, we will get into essence and what you want on your equipment and how to go about that and how to play the puzzles the most efficient that you possibly can. First up, we have the Forge. You're going to go into your Cards tab, Heroes, and then the Forge is right here. You can click on the Forge and see anything that you are able to merge together. I'm going to give you a brief overview of how equipment from Common to Legendary works whenever you are adding factions to it. So Common does not have any factions on it. Alliance of All Kingdoms, this is covering every single unit in the game. It gets whatever the buff is. This is attack speed, 2%. Every single unit would get that. So then we move up to a spear with common. So a common spear, if we look at this, it's going to be, again, it's going to go up a little bit, but attack speed, 4% for everything. Everything will get 4%. But on top of that, Techno is going to get 4% additional. So if you have a Techno unit, then you're going to have 8% attack speed increase here. Whenever you merge two rare spears together, you're going to keep the first one, the one that's in the first column, the Techno one. If we merge that one together, we would keep the Techno, and then a random faction would get added. So let's go to Epic and we'll see that a random faction gets added. And not only would a random faction get added, it will add a set bonus, or not a set bonus, but a faction bonus to it, a set. So the set here is Techno. It can be a 50-50 between these two. So the first one that you chose to be on the spear, or this random one that got added afterwards. So if you want it on Techno, then make sure you're putting your Techno first when merging. I'll show you that later. And then you'll get another random unit, and then one of those two units is going to be what you see here for this faction buff. So not only would you get 8.5% for everything, you would get another 8.5% for Techno, and then in your deck, if you had Kingdom of Light, another Kingdom of Light unit, you would get 8.5% for that. So that is additive. And then whenever you merge up to Legendary, whenever you go to Legendary, you keep both of your factions. You would keep both Techno and Kingdom of Light, and you would keep your set. The only thing that happens is it adds a third unit, it adds a third faction, and it, like I said, it will keep the effect here. It will keep the bonus here, the faction. So on this one, it added Kingdom of Light as the third one. That is the only thing that happened. How the set bonus works is if you have 3 pieces of equipment, all of these have Techno on them as the faction buff, then it will get 10% added to whatever the item does. So in this case, plus 10% goes to the spear's attack speed, but it's not 10%. You don't get 25 plus 10% like how it says. You get 25% plus that faction gets 10% of this 25%. Whatever you have here as your number, you're getting 10% of that, so 2.5. So if you look down here for Techno, the attack speed is going to be 27.5. That's 25 plus 10%, which would be 2.5. So 25 plus 2% or 2.5% is 27.5%, and that is how it works. It does that with every item that it does it with the attack speed of the Hunter's Jacket and the Amulet of Growth. It does it here as well. 6% of 60 is 6, and it gets added here. 6 plus 60 is 66. So that is how the faction bonuses work. Let's go through the process of upgrading one. First, I would like to talk to you about what the end goal is for items. So there are 5 factions, right? Forest, Magic, Kingdom of Light, Techno, and Dark. What I tried to do with my items, if we look at this spear here, it has Techno, Dark, and Kingdom of Light on it. So it does not have Magic or a Forest on it. So what I went and did with my second spear that I made legendary is make sure that it has Magic and Forest on it. So now, anytime I want to play a deck and I need a spear, I now have the correct faction on a spear, whether that be this one or this one. What I'm going to show you today is how you can merge your common items into legendary items and get the factions that you want on there. There's only a little bit of RNG in there, and that is going from epic to legendary because you can't determine which faction you're going to get last, but that is why we are trying to determine the first 2 factions for sure, and I'll show you that. Okay, so I only have 1 Amulet of Growth, and it has Techno, Forest, and Kingdom of Light on it. That means that I want to get Magic and Dark on my next one so that I have all of the faction covered by my 2 legendary items. How it worked before, you did not want to max out your common items, it was a mistake, but now you have to max out common items to be able to merge them together. But merging together items, you only need to max out 1 item, not both of the items. So I've done this just to show you real quick with the amulets, the Amulet of Strength. As you can see here, I have a couple that are level 1s right there, but then if we scroll all the way up, we'll see this one is a max level. So there's only one thing that is common and has a max level, and that is why we are only able to merge this 1 amulet because it is max level. So merge 2 things that are the same together and you'll get a higher rarity. But like I said, this only one of these needs to be max level, and then I can go ahead and click this one. Because it's common, it does not matter which faction or anything because we don't have a faction bonus on this one yet. So let's go ahead and merge these together. Do your work, engineer. Okay, so now we do have a faction on this. We have an Amulet of Growth with Techno. I want to look for a Magic or a Dark Amulet of Growth. And it looks like we have a bunch of Technos. Looks like the only Magic or Dark we have is this guy right here. So what we're gonna do is max this guy out, and then we are going to merge and hopefully it becomes a Dark. So let's go to merging. We will merge it with another Techno because we don't need this Techno. It's nice that it shows you on top now. You used to have to put it in a certain slot, but you don't have to do that anymore. So whenever we're going from rare to epic, what is going to happen is it's going to keep this faction, and it even shows you that there. It's going to keep this Magic faction for sure, 100%. The second one though, it's not going to be Techno. It's going to be a random faction. And then it is going to add a faction bonus onto the epic item. The faction bonus is a 50-50 chance of either Magic, the guaranteed one, or this new one that you get. So you can get Magic at a 50% chance here if you're shooting for Magic. So that is why it's super important to shoot for the first one that you put down here to be the one that you care about the most. I definitely want Magic. It has to be first. Let's merge it. Let's see what the faction buff is. Let's see if we get Dark on it. If we do, that's awesome. We don't, we get Kingdom of Light. Okay, so because we got Kingdom of Light and we don't have any other Dark or Magic amulets, what I'm going to do is go back down here and I'm going to merge out another one. Another thing you can do to get more shards is, so we have this Magic amulet with Dark Magic and Forest on it, and then we have another one up here with Kingdom of Light, Forest, and Techno on it. That covers all factions that we need, so we do not need any more of these. So I can go ahead and dismantle these 4 epics that I have because we will not need them. So let me show you how to do that so that you can get some extra shards if you have something that you don't think you're going to need. So let's go down to our epic items. Let's go to, you can actually do multiple at the same time. So Let's go ahead and do these 4, and we will disassemble those 4 and get 6,000 shards for that. So here we go, disassemble. They come back at a 50% return rate. So 50% of the cost that it would take to get to that level, it's going to give you that back, 50%. I have actually made a ton of amulets of growth trying to get to an epic that has both of those on it, and I keep getting unlucky. So I've made a couple here. They're up here, and I've not hit a magic and a dark on this yet. So I have dark and Kingdom of Light, magic, Kingdom of Light, magic, techno. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hope for the streamer luck. We're going to upgrade this forest one. So now it is maxed out. That is the one that we want to put first because it is guaranteed to keep that faction there. It will keep the faction bonus, or keep the faction on that item right there. The second one that we put in, you'll see, does not stay. It is just to merge into this one. So that is how that works. The only other thing, it will add a random set bonus and a random faction. So it'll add a random faction, not going to be techno, and it will add a set bonus. So that will be random. Oh, dark and forest. If only I merged a magic one that time. But what we're going to do is we're going to pick whether we want dark and forest on our legendary for sure, or if we want magic and forest. Amulet of Growth that we just made, dark was the unit that was the faction that got put onto this, and that was what became the set bonus here. So like I said, it's a 50-50 shot between those, but if you're putting forest on there and in the first slot, you're guaranteed to have that there. Then this one gets added randomly. I have determined that I want to go with this amulet to upgrade to a legendary, and it is Magic Council. I'm going to do that for Bruiser and Sword DPS, and it is, yeah, Magic Council, and it's got Techno on it. I want Dark, so that's what I'm shooting for. I'm shooting for Dark Domain, but first we have to max this thing out. So we're going to max it out. And then we're going to, oh, I only had enough to take it to level 7. Would you look at that? I can't really get any more of those without merging other things out. So let's go ahead and go back and remove some things real quick. Okay, so we have 18,000 to disassemble. That is nice. That'll get us a good bit of upgrades here. Upgrade this all the way to max. And we get, let's see what we get when we merge it. So we're definitely putting this first. And like I said, it keeps the first 2 factions. It also keeps the faction bonus. So those will stay. It will just add a third random faction. And what we're going to do, since we're making a magic one, we're going to take this magic one and merge it together so that we have these 2 dark ones left. But we'll merge these 2 together, and we're really hoping that we hit Dark Domain on this thing. So let's go. Let's get it. Come on. Ah, we didn't get it. All right, we didn't get the streamer luck, but we do have magic on an Amulet of Growth now. And as you can see, that is the only thing that changed on that. We'll go down here and look at it. And there it is. Amulet of Growth, magic, and techno stayed on the item, and then it added forest. So set bonus also stayed the same. That is how you go from a common piece of equipment up to a legendary piece of equipment. I really hope that piece of information helped you guys out in understanding how to merge from common to legendary, what stays, what doesn't stay. If you have any questions about that, hit the comments below and I'll definitely answer, or you can check out Discord and get some answers there as well. But as for what piece of equipment is best for which decks, there are a certain few that break the mold. And I'll go through a couple of those with you. I don't know everything, but I'll go through a couple. Anytime you have a merge deck where it's like a high amount of merge with some toxicity to it, so like a shaman deck, you're going to want to use a staff. Anything with shaman, you're going to want to use a staff. Meteor, anything with meteor, you're going to want to use a staff. Those 2 are very good with staff. And outside of those, there aren't too many reasons to play staff. You can normally get higher, get further by using some other piece of equipment. The second thing that I'd like to go over is Spear. Spear is best for pretty much everything. It's like the catch-all. Like, if it doesn't fit in this niche set of units that I'm talking about for each thing, go for Spear. It is the best. It is better for most people in their decks. Sword is really good for a unit like Tesla or Inquisitor. Tesla and Inquisitor do very well with Sword over Spear just because of the way that their damage works, and I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, but just know that Sword works well for Inquisitor and Tesla decks. Bow works really good if you are playing like a Scrapper Knight statue deck. It is very good now since it got buffed, and a lot of people say that it's better than Spear, but I'm not on that fence. It is very good though, and I've heard that it is best with Cultist as well. So if you're playing a Cultist deck, go ahead and try Bow out, and it might even be better for you. That is it for the weapons of the game. So now let's go through some of the armor. Mage robes, probably the best thing in the game. Mage robes are extremely strong, and they can really weigh your opponent down and stop them from merging so much or getting higher tiers onto the board. It is crucial to have a high level mage robe. Very far away second, in my opinion, is Hunter's Jacket. Hunter's Jacket is also pretty good though. It's just not the caliber of mage robe in my opinion. I do run it in some decks, like this deck right here. I run it with like a clock. So it definitely has its purposes, but 99% of the time I'm going to be going for mage robes over Hunter's Jacket. And then the other two, if you know you're playing against a meteor player, or you're playing a ton in the meta and it's meteor, maybe go for a chainmail with magic on it, because that actually makes the left side of meteor, the one that does percentage damage, and it actually does less percentage. So that is a good idea to play if you're playing against meteor. And then the knight's armor is not too hot still. I would still go with the other three over the knight's armor, but they definitely made it better, but it is still not the caliber of the other three. So mage robe's an easy pick for me on that one. As for the amulet, you need to look at what is on faction for you for all of these, but on what is on faction for you for the amulet. So what I want to do is look at my amulet and I say, okay, I don't have dark on this thing, so I'm only getting Alliance of All Kingdoms. I can get my damage to 60% if I get all of the merges. So 60%. If I go down here and look at, so say I just had this item here and I didn't have one for dark, I would just have 26% damage increase. Well, heck, even the one that I do have for magic amulet, this one is 38% increase for dark on this amulet, but that's 38% compared to this guy, which is 60% increase. So what you want to do is, weigh your options of what you have available to you. This might be better for you because you don't plan on doing a lot of merging and you're not going to get that damage up. So you might want to just go for the static one. And then we have Amulet of Weakness. That is best in some type of like a Necromancer deck, a Shaman deck, a Clock deck, something that you're messing with your opponent. It's generally a little bit better to run something like an Amulet of Weakness, and there's only 3 for those. So that is all the equipment and how I feel it should be ran with different decks right now. And then lastly, we will get into Essence. As you can see, I have 6,200 essence. Yes, this is a lot. So I have been saving them up until I made this video, basically the entire time. You probably saw that I have a couple pieces of equipment here with an enchantment on them, and I don't have very many. These are pretty much the only ones I have, but I will show you how to get these enchantments. So here it shows the items that you have equipped, but you can sort this by other things, legendary, epic, you know what I mean? So you can do all, but this one shows you the items that you have equipped. I'm actually gonna go down and look at all of my legendaries. There are two different types of enchanting your weapon. There is the one that is unlock an enchantment. That means you do not have an enchantment on the item, or you have an enchantment on the item, and then you can either awaken or change the enchantment. The first one is pretty simple. You're going to get your first enchantment there. It is a higher chance to get a better rarity of enchantment whenever you have a higher rarity and level of an item. So if like say this max level legendary is going to be much better than even non-maxed out level 1 legendary amulet. So keep that in mind, that maybe you want to max your equipment out before going for an enchantment. What I want to do is pick this guy right here and click unlock enchantment. I want to do the first time around for you. It'll go ahead and tell you what is about to happen. Higher tier of the item increases your chance of getting legendary enchantments. Build an energy circuit from one source to the other. You tap or click to rotate the pipes. So let me say before I go in that what I like to do is find the end. I don't like to start from the beginning. This will make sense in a second. I like to start from the end and work my way back along like the path of like, okay, it can only go like this. And I'll try to talk about this while I'm doing it, but sometimes they're pretty difficult and you need to actually think about it. So let's get into this. What I see first is this guy, and it can only go one of two ways. And what I want to do is make this guy go into here. This can only go one way. So I know that this has to come over this way, and this would have to go down this way, and this would have to come here, and this would have to go here and here and here. Okay, so because of the X's up here at the top, I'll try to explain my thought process there a little bit. Because, hey, what's up, Witch? Because of the X's here, I started to focus on this guy here, because I absolutely knew for a 100% fact that this had to come up, over, go down, and over to be able to get this pipe connected here, because these could only go one way out of there. So as I came down here, I think I initially thought that, you know, it came out of this and went up or whatever, but once I started to put it over, you'll see if you go back that I had this one actually pointed up, and I shouldn't have. And then as I was working my way around, I just, you know, put this to the only hole that it had, and then saw, okay, well, I need to connect that flow somehow. Has to be this middle guy here. So then you send that down and around, and it can only go there one way. If it can't go this way, then it has to come down this way. So that's kind of like how I think about it. Like, okay, what part of the board am I not allowed to work on, and is there only one way out of there? So like, don't try to make up a path. Find the path based on what doesn't make sense at all. And we get this one where we either get the enchanted monster, which is a very good one, probably not being legendary, but this is like one of the best ones to have. Killing a monster, 6% chance of summoning enchanted monster on the other opponent's side. The other one that's very good is the one that lets you cleanse a negative effect, and the other one that is very good is the one that lets you curse your opponent, send basically send a shaman at them. We can look at our other ones here, but they're not as good. Foundling and Gust, they are not as good, so we're going to go with this Enchanted Monster 2 for sure and pick that on there. If you want to awaken the enchantment, you can do that for 800 essence, and not only will that happen with dark units, it will also happen with whatever other faction it's going to unlock there. And then if you did it again, it would be on all 3 factions that are on your item, or all 2 items, or all 2 factions, you know, whatever it ends up being. Or you can go in here and click change enchantment, and that's actually what I'm going to do for my spear. And I want to change the enchantment on this guy, because I wish I could see it from here, but it is not the best one, I don't believe. So let me go back and look what it is. 1% chance increasing the crit chance. Yeah, I definitely don't want that guy. I want to go back into here, into enchantment, click this, and we're going to change enchantment. So let's click that, You want to cancel your selection, but you'll lose your essence. Do you want to change the enchantment on this item? Yes, I definitely do. So we are going to change it. Oh, you actually don't have to work back through. Oh, wow. You don't have to work back through the puzzle. I did not know that, actually. Has a 1% chance. Oh, that's the same thing. And this one is Pocket Exhaustion or Enchanted Monster. Honestly, I feel like Enchanted Monster might even be better than Battle Thrill. So I'm going to just pick that for now. We're going to do this again. We're going to retry again. Morally Gray. Whenever another player uses their hero ability, damage dealt by your units from this faction increase by 20% for 5 seconds. That's really good, but killing a boss with mini boss with a unit from this faction has a 10% chance of removing negative effects from one unit and stunning one unit of the opponents. That is a really good one. Counterspell is very good, and I'm going to go for Counterspell. It is a very strong one. This Morally Gray, though, is definitely a close second pick here. It is a very good one, and it's kind of tough not picking it, but Counterspell is very, very important. So we're actually going to apply that. We're going to leave it there, and that is Essence for you. That is how it works and how to enchant things. Hopefully that sums up everything there, and hopefully that sums up everything for merging equipment. If there's anything that confuses you, you could also go back to the previous video that I did. I will link that in the pinned comment below, or maybe the description or something like that, and you could go back and reference that. It has a lot of good information in it as well. I think I covered pretty much all of the same things here today, but it might have some slightly different information. It will definitely have outdated old information, like you had to put 4 things together, and if I'm talking about, you know, equipment strengths and stuff like that, like that is not going to be relevant now, but some of the other stuff might be. So I'll put that in the link in the description, and you can check that out if you are confused about anything. Hopefully I covered everything, and thank you guys for watching so much. I really do appreciate it. If you liked the video, please hit the like button down below. Share this with your friends if they want to know more about merging and things in Rush Royale. I really appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for watching today, and have a great day.